Hi, and welcome to Grace in the Breaking. I'm Elizabeth Everett, and today we are going to talk about raw, unfiltered details of trauma. Do you have patterns of unhealthy behavior that when you start to evaluate, you notice that they're repetitive cycles within life? Have you felt rejection and shame, even disgrace, from certain things that have happened to you over the years? Me too. This is not a place that we are going to trauma bond. We aren't going to relive things from the past so that we experience the pain, but we're going to use the pain that we've experienced and share how we can overcome it all by the blood of Jesus. When we examine things that have happened from our past that we didn't have control over, that may have defined us for years, it's easy to fall into that pattern of mindset of keeping the dark pushed down, hidden, tucked away. But what happens when we tuck it away? What happens when we build walls up so strong and so high that it starts to be a piece of our identity? Have you ever felt that way? Do you have things that have happened to you that are so dark and so ugly that you can't believe it, but you've almost developed an alter ego about it? You're in the right place. I want to remind you, this is a safe place for healing. This is a safe place for working through trauma, learning to recognize the patterns, learning to identify the spirits that attach to us from those traumas, how to overcome them and walk in a life of abundance with Jesus. I'll tell you something, friends. His word specifically states everything in the dark will come to light. So today we're going to talk about the spirit of rejection, how it comes on you from sexual trauma, things that we seek for validation and acceptance as a result. We're going to talk about the cause and effect and where faith is formed when we quit looking back. Isaiah 43:18 and 19 reminds us to forget the former things. The new things spring forth. Do we not perceive it? I am strong and courageous, for my Lord my God is my strength and goes with me wherever I go. This is a verse I like to stand on now because he is. Even in the darkest moments of my past, ones that I let define me for so many years, his grace is enough. So today, I'm going to share the unfiltered truth. In the 5th grade, I was sexually assaulted by a neighbor. Now, she wasn't much older than me. I don't know how those things got into her mind, and I don't even want to question them because the past is the past. But that started to shape and define me. Now, I want to remind you, I lived in a house of secrets. That was something that I was brought up to believe was normal behavior. Secrets. You just didn't talk. You kept those pushed, dark places. You just pushed them down. You pushed them to the side and you just went on about your day. This isn't healthy, folks. You know, there's evil in this world. And back all those years ago, evil stayed kind of hidden. We're in a world today where we're living in end times and the darkness doesn't even hide anymore. This world is wicked. We're not fighting flesh and blood. We're fighting the principalities of darkness. So today, we take a stand. We put one foot in front of the other and we stand together on his word as it never falters. He is the life, the truth, and the way. And he can and will heal you by his stripes. So here's the surrender. After that happened, There was always a part of me that didn't understand. But then again, I was an only child at the time, living in that house of adultery and a house of addiction. So there was darkness patterns all around me. Let's fast forward to abrupt outbursts in behavior that began. My parents started having problems with me, anger outbursts, not knowing how to assimilate my words correctly. Kind of my emotions were all over the place. Looking back, those were red flags that were popping up. At age 14, I went to clean a man's house that was a friend of my mother's, and he gave me hardcore drugs. I'm not proud of this. I took shame, guilt, and condemnation and wrapped myself in it. This wasn't okay. This was a man that I trusted, a friend of the family, and he hurt me. But who was I going to believe? How could I tell anyone? There was no way, because he was a family friend. And guess what? I had done the drugs that he gave me. So the enemy used that little sliver of doubt, kind of planted it with me. Well, you can't tell anyone. This is your fault. You indulged. You get what you deserved. I remember reaching out to a friend that night as I got home. Really didn't know him from high school that well. And he talked me through it. I was so high, I had no idea what I was doing. I was terrified. But in that moment, God gave me the one person in the world that could talk me through that. Now, this guy in high school never said a word. I would pass him in the halls. We never talked about it. And just a couple of years ago, he actually walked through the front doors of the church as I was the greeter that day. Shame rushed over me for a moment in time, but then a sense of peace when he greeted me with a warm welcome and how great it was to see me after all those years. That was a sense of peace, of healing for me. That was God's grace. Things that we push way down that we don't want to share with anybody and the circumstances around it. Don't believe the lies of the enemy. If something traumatic happens to you, you have a voice. Don't be afraid. It doesn't matter if you're afraid that you're going to be met with condemnation or guilt or shame. If an adult does something to a child, it's flat out wrong. It's not your fault. Don't believe it. The enemy is a liar. This happened on more than one occasion. I believe my family had some clues. There were some things going on, but no one ever asked. I don't blame them. I don't say that to shame them. I say that to all the parents out there. If your children start exhibiting certain signs, you're their parent. It's your job to train them up in the way they are supposed to go so that they never leave from that way. So be open. Ask the questions, even the hard ones. Even if you're terrified to hear what they have to say, let your posture be a posture of love and open arms to nurture them and guide them through whatever has happened. Because let's face it, life happens. Evil is all around us. But we together can take a stand and take our lives back. I started doing drugs. I started wanting to leave that moment of pain. I wanted to be numb. I didn't want to remember. Here I was going to school, a cheerleader, student council, all of the things, and carrying around these dark secrets pushed down inside of me. Shucks. I was even in pageants and I had great success at them. But again, that alter ego, that wanting to step out and be someone that I wasn't because I had so much shame and rejection on me, that's real. I can tell you at age 16, history had repeated itself. I guess in the adult community of the friends that were in the circle around my family, it was shared that I was a partier. I was labeled as a partier. God had blessed me with good looks, and people took that the wrong way. So one night, I was given drugs from someone else. Hardcore drugs, still again. We're talking cocaine and crack. At first, it was just a share of drug use, sneaking out. And here's the kicker. Someone in my family knew I was sneaking out. Someone in my family had suspicions of what was going on, but never wanted to confront it. Because let's circle back. I came from an unhappy, dysfunctional household. And again, I believe my parents did the best that they could considering all of the circumstances and outside influences that were playing on our home at the time. I love my family. I have made peace, and we are at a place where things are good. I don't hold anything against anyone, but I will tell you, I can remember the exact day that a parent looked at me and said the following words. Now, let me give a little context before I share those words. The context was, I know you've been sneaking out, and I've had a private investigator following you. Me? Teenager? Yeah, okay, sure. Well, the next words out of the mouth of that parent rocked me. Again, I don't say this to you to feel sorry. I don't say this to shame them. I say this to share my story and what happened next. The moment that I heard the words, who were they going to believe? An upstanding member of society or a drug addict? Those words cut me like a knife. They shattered my soul into pieces that I couldn't even fathom. It completely rocked and tore apart any relationship that was left in my house with him. That was the day that the enemy opened the door just a little with my doubt and my shame and my condemnation that I allowed to walk on me. The spirit of rejection came on me. Now, listen, friends, the Bible talks about demons and spirits. Do you honestly think the Bible can talk about it and it's not something that's real, tangible, or even around anymore? The Bible is a roadmap. It shows us how to overcome, and Jesus is the ultimate redeemer. So when I talk about the spirit of rejection, I want you to know it is real. I want you to know the patterns. I want you to know what kind of trauma brings on these spirits, how to recognize it, and how to get delivered. God has given you a voice, not to relieve the pain, but to heal from it. As I look back over my life, I started working in continual cycles. I left home at age 17, the beginning of my senior year, like 3 weeks, literally, after I turned 17. I couldn't stand to be in a house that brought pain to me. Not intentionally, but oblivious to word curses, to dysfunction. I was wrapping myself so much in a mask that every opportunity I had to numb the pain, I did. It became a point of shaping. You didn't know who you were going to meet. You were going to meet happy, have it all together, Elizabeth. Or you were going to meet the wild, eccentric, out of control teenager partying all the time. Before I left home, I was sneaking out every single night. I was doing things that God only knows, and He kept me alive. I'm here today not in my own strength, but by His power and His might. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you had so much trauma that you didn't know which way to go? Have you considered that the anointing on your life is so strong the enemy wants to fight you every way? Today, I'm going to show you a way out. I'm going to show you a way to speak life over yourself, to learn that your words are seeds and there is power in the redeeming blood. It's important that we share our stories because we never know when that one quiet person has experienced something and it has shaped them, and they've buried it down in those dark places. So it is my hope today, if one thing resonates for you, I want you to know you are not alone. This is a safe space, and we will conquer evil with the grace of God. We can't lay this down today and then pick it back up tomorrow. We aren't defined by our past, but we are redeemed by the possibility of the future that He has for us. It's time that we notice those unhealthy patterns of addiction, rejection, seeking for acceptance in all the places that are unhealthy and unhealed, validation. Are you seeing things that might be repeating in your life? Is it a possibility that there's something on you that has opened doors? Ask God to open your eyes to see. We know the cause, trauma, and now we know the effects. The effects of trauma can define you or they can redefine you. Listen, I am a chosen mess, redeemed by His grace. And if He can change my life, then I can assure you He can change yours. The sexual trauma that I experienced and believing somehow that it was my fault shaped me. It put me wanting to be in a loving, acceptable environment. I mean, I got married as soon as I turned 18. Not even sure it was love. Sure didn't last very long. I had no business getting married, especially to a man that much older and one that I chased because of addiction. Because pain travels in pairs. Trauma bonding is real. It may feel good for a moment, but in the end, it's a cycle. So wake up, evaluate your life. If you've got trauma, let's discuss a way through. Let's talk about surrendering to Jesus and getting a voice to heal you. It's all about your story and how God will turn it around for His glory. Faith is formed when we quit looking back. When we submit our requests before Him, He listens. He answers. Y'all, I can't even explain how that spirit of rejection followed me in every single relationship that I've experienced up until today, because I let trauma and shame, rejection, even witchcraft of a Jezebel spirit, which we will talk about later, spirits, revelations, how they have cause and effect. But I will tell you that when you build up walls so high, you have to be in control. You learn how to manipulate situations to protect yourself. You're always in fight or flight mode. So think about your life today. Is there something from the past that has defined you? Have you had sexual trauma? You can overcome. His grace is enough. Shortly after that first marriage, like I hopped right into number 2, number 3, and even number 4, unhealed, chasing those in addiction, seeking acceptance, building walls and carrying mantles that I never was meant to carry. It wasn't a pretty path. I had a hardened heart because of the pain I experienced. A wall so high, I wasn't going to let you get too close. I didn't want to break. So many times you seek the acceptance of people only to be pushed away and be broken again. So when you build those walls and they're impenetrable, usually it takes something pretty dramatic to break them into pieces. What I didn't understand this whole time in these repetitive cycles of the cause and effect of the sexual trauma and how I carried it defined me. I was loud. I was full of pride, and I simply wasn't nice. I've been talked about saying, oh my goodness, she's so intimidating. And you know what? I was, but God. The night I met God, He broke my hardened heart wide open. When I let Him in finally, He slowly, in His timing, started softening every hardened piece of me that there was. He didn't radically change me overnight. He took me piece by piece and started putting me back together. The way I talked changed. The way I gave changed. The way I listened changed. The more I prayed for other people and for my will to be done, when again, all of the trauma led up to breaking down anything and everything that was good in my life. He was shaping me through those prayers. He was softening my heart. And He softened it so much that when the pruning started, the examination and the full surrender, y'all, it hurt. It was unlike any pain I'd ever experienced. But His glory was also revealed through this. I didn't deserve what I experienced as a child. But God, I give Him the glory because I'm sitting in front of you here today telling you there is a way for healing. There is a way to stop these patterns. There is a way to break off these spirits and experience full deliverance. There's a way to keep in His grace because we're always in His grace. It's a way for your softened soul to be living in the light of His love. You know, I am strong and courageous, for the Lord my God is with me wherever I go. That's 1 Joshua. So today I want to challenge you to write down where there has been trauma. I want you to write down 10 lies that you've believed about yourself. And I want you to write down one truth that God says. And I want you to look at that because He has a plan. You are so loved. He loved you. He knew you before He formed you in the womb. And I can tell you from my experience, my final surrender was forgiving myself. My past and my experiences may have shaped me. They may have formed me into places that I'm not proud of. But the day I gave my life to God, I became a new creation. Jesus died on the cross for my sins, and He died on the cross for yours too. So let me remind you, whatever caused happened and whatever effect happened, you did not steer too far from the glory of God because He's here in the waiting. He will heal and redeem and prune everything that's not meant to go with you. We aren't meant to carry around shame. We are not meant to carry around condemnation over ourselves. He loves us. It doesn't matter who else doesn't. If you invite Him in, the old is gone and the new springs forth. So I encourage you today to take a look, to take a step forward, and to know this is a healing journey. I want to remind you, you are not defined from the past. We don't dwell on past failures or limitations because God is doing a new thing in me and He's doing a new thing in you. I see it, I perceive it, and I plan to walk in it. So friends and family, I want you to repeat after me today. I declare and decree that the old me cannot go where I'm going. And today, we together step fully into everything that God has for us. He loves us. So no matter what has happened in the past, no matter what sexual trauma has beaten you down, you are not alone. He is with you. So it's time to spring forth into new possibilities, new realms of His glory, and surrender with obedience. Till next time, friends, I love you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on Grace in the Breaking. If this episode spoke to your heart, please remember to follow, download, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement right now. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. As I close, I want to leave you with this reminder, 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. So no matter what season you're walking through, you are not alone. And there is always grace in the breaking. For more information, resources, or to connect with me, visit graceinthebreaking.com or email me at info@graceinthebreaking.com. Until next time, friends, stay rooted in faith, hold on to hope, and remember that there is grace in the breaking.